Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Chamber Chat. I am your host, Colin Diaz, President and CEO of the Culver City Chamber, and I am joined today by Culver City Chamber board member, Culver City business owner, as well as in Santa Monica, and good friend Steph Sklar-Mulcahy with CycleBar Culver City. So welcome, Steph. I don't want to steal your thunder about all the awesome things you guys have to offer, but I'll turn it over to you for a better introduction.
Thanks, Colin. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me on the Chamber Chat. Well, as you said, I'm Steph. I'm the owner of CycleBar Culver City, as well as CycleBar Santa Monica. We opened up in Culver City 3 years ago. Actually, we had to shut down for quarantine on our 3-year birthday, so that was a little bit sad. But you know, we've been cranking through. But you know, it's been, as far as you know, the first 3 years have been amazing. Opening a business in Culver City, I couldn't imagine being in a better city. I've had such support from, you know, between city officials to the chamber to fellow business owners. It's just been a really fantastic experience. And, you know, this whole COVID thing has just thrown a wrench in the fitness industry. And we've really been lumped in with big box gyms, which has been a big challenge for us these past few months, mainly because with our studio, we're able to control a lot of the activity that goes inside of here. We also only have one piece of equipment that people come in and use and then leave. So it's really a different experience than what you would have when you go somewhere jumping from equipment to equipment.
So if you don't mind touching a little bit more on that, because I think that's something, you know, through this process, the state and feds have tried their best to, you know, figure out what works, what doesn't work. And oftentimes it's these broad brushstrokes. Sorry, you can hear the little 1-year-old in the back making noise.
It's okay.
Of our new normal, right? So I guess as it's related, you know, there's been recent orders as far as closures. How have you pivoted during this process? You know, you obviously have a very loyal fan base, or customer base, which is awesome. And I, you know, all the time see your collective praises sung on, you know, Instagram and Facebook. But how have you guys been able to pivot to meet the needs that your clients have?
Yeah, I mean, I literally, everything that gets thrown at me, I just feel like, okay, how do we got to fix this? And I just throw it back. But, you know, there wasn't much we could do when we were shut down as far as activities inside of the studio. So what we ended up doing was, between the two, we rented out all of our bikes to our riders at home. So that got about 80 plus customers, riders with bikes at home. And we filmed virtual classes for them. You know, that was a way that a lot of different studios did, which was great. However, we were limited to our audience that had bikes, because unlike, say, a yoga class where anybody can do it anywhere, with us, you have to have our piece of equipment. Right. Just wouldn't be the same if you were on your back pedaling. You know? So it wasn't really an option for us to do this widespread virtual classes to make it, you know, a viable income stream. But we still kept our community engaged, and, you know, we really upped we started doing some challenges on Instagram and whatnot, and then, you know, just really waiting until we got the word that we could reopen. So before we reopened, you know, I did everything I could to just create a safe space. So we installed these air purifiers, the Remy Halo air purifiers in both of the studios, which basically scrub the air and kill 99% of viruses in the air.
Very nice.
We took out, so we used to have 49 bikes in our Culver City location, and in order to spread 6 to 8 feet apart from one another, we went down to 26 bikes. So that was, you know, just reconfiguring the studio. I installed plexiglass in front of the instructor because they're the ones that are kind of shouting out, facing everybody. So we installed a plexi shield in front of them to try to catch anything. And I ordered a bunch of the face shields that people can wear so that they felt more protected and could breathe while they were riding. And, and then we got the order of masks and gloves and this and that. And so we just, every time we got it, we just added and added and added. I mean, it definitely was a costly venture and spent probably around $8,000 to do it. And then, just on Monday, we got the order that all indoor activities had to be shut down or moved outside. So I think I found out around 2 p.m, and our next class was going to be at 5:30. So I just kind of, my background is in television production prior to working, owning CycleBar. So I just put my producer's cap on and just went for it. I called one of my writers is a audio specialist. And so I called him in and was like, Todd, meet me at the studio. So he came, and I called the landlord, both of my landlords, and I said, hey, can I move the operation outside? And they said, absolutely, whatever you need, which was really fantastic to be able to have that support from them. And, Todd met me. We took apart our DJ rack and, separated the sound so that we could connect up our microphones and use our music outside, dragged all the bikes outside, and we were up and running by 5:30 in both locations. It was nuts.
Oh, you did it in both locations?
Yeah, we're running it in both studios. So
Wow.
I got it set up over in Culver, then rushed over to Santa Monica. Luckily, we don't have as bad a traffic these days, so it was only an 8-minute drive. In normal days, doing that at 4 p.m. would have taken me 45 minutes, each way. Yep. But, I was able to make it over here. I met my manager in Santa Monica and showed her how to set everything up, left her, went back to Culver, and boom, got it. So it was great. People were thrilled. I mean, to be able to reopen and then have to be forced to close, people were so upset. So we were just getting phone calls. And when we told them that we were still on and we were doing it outside, I mean, the joy that it brought them and brought me. I mean, I've been, my livelihood is in this studio. And the last 3 months, I'm a very positive person. And the last 3 months, I've just kind of had this up and down and, feeling these feelings that I've never felt before. What is this? And it was really the first time in 3 months that the joy that came from all the riders outside and the adrenaline, it hit me. And I mean, I was just on cloud 9, and it's really, I'm running on adrenaline currently, but, it's just changed my attitude and really kind of recharged my battery, so to speak. And, I'm just ready to fight. I'm not going down. Obviously we want to keep everybody very safe and protected. We're still doing temperature checks when they come to our door. We hand sanitize, and we do a deep clean of each bike between each class. And, we're trying to be as cautious as possible. We're still requiring people to wear face shields, even though they're outside. We just want to protect them, protect our staff, and, make sure that we can keep people healthy during this time. Because the scariest thing about the whole thing is that, when you're in a pandemic, you want people to have their, these strong immune systems. And when you have these people that are used to working out 5 days a week, and then all of a sudden they're stuck in their house, and they're eating, they're joining happy hour Zooms, it's not necessarily the best activities or the healthiest activities. So in a way, I kind of see us as an essential business, because for people's physical and their mental health, we're there for them. And, that's why I just want to keep my doors open. I have so many people depending on us, and, I don't want to let them down.
Well, I would say you have done above and beyond. And it's I'm glad that you brought up the last part of it about, continuing to fight, because you guys are all part of the reason why we joined the California Coalition for Safe Reopening, because it's, the underlying paramount concern obviously is the health and safety of everybody, but at the same time, you could almost say that the public health is obviously a key component. But if we have an economy that decays, where there's no jobs and people are unemployed, and I mean, you look at the other factors, eventually it ties into public health as well. And so there are a lot of businesses out there, and I'm glad that you decided to come on today, that are like you that are going above and beyond, that, you know, they've said you got to do these 3 points to be safe, and you decided we're going to do the next 12 as well. And so we're trying, you know, we work a lot with the state, particularly recently, as well as with our county, to try to assist them in coming in. I mean, I think you were one of the first ones that said, to begin with, even with our mayor, to say, look, come check us out, come look at what we're doing, come look at our procedures, come look at you know, what we put in place. We want to have you come in and see, you know, how much work we put in and how safe of an environment this is. Obviously, your riders see that and experience it, and obviously love to be around you too. But as it, you know, let's look down the road, because there's conversations. You know, schools have just recently announced. In fact, I think our school district, probably by the time you know, we get to the beginning of the school year, is going to be remote like everyone else, and you have even more of that. So now you've got parents, if you will, at home that normally would have a small, you know, their portion at work, and then they, you know, would have their workout, and they would then be with their kids. And that's now all being consolidated to, you're going to be with your kids and working in a tight space, you know, for the foreseeable future. And that's stressful, you know, on the kids side, it's stressful on the parent side. What do you see? And I understand this is a crystal ball question, so I don't expect you to have the solution. But we are recording this, so if you're right, you know, then
Right.
you're prophetic. And if you're wrong, no one pays attention, because everybody's wrong anyways. But, you know, CycleBar in July 2021 looks like what? What do you think as far as? I mean,
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into that with the virus and vaccine and whatnot, and just where we are in the country. What I would like to see it as, I mean, I know it's going to be a long road to rebuild, and once, you know, if we're able to go back indoors this year, I hope, you know, hopefully it's only a couple more weeks,
right.
because definitely when we hit the winter months, it's, you know, even just the August, September in California, it's definitely going to get toasty. So
Yep.
heat's a factor, but then rain is a factor as well. You know, just being able to get back in is one thing, but being able to sustain the business as well. Because right now, I mean, I have more of a, you know, I'm working out of my heart than necessarily my wallet. You know, I feel more of a duty just to be open for everyone, for myself and for everybody else. But I imagine that it's going to be probably you know, I hate to say a year. I'm a bit more positive about that, and maybe unrealistic, but in let's say 6 months, you know, to rebuild our membership base. Oddly enough, you know, right now I believe we're the only spin studio that's open in Los Angeles. So because of that, and because of what we're doing with the outdoor rides, my phone's been just blowing up of people that used to spin somewhere else that are now
Right.
wanting to come to us and try us out. So it's possible that this is actually going to help us, because we went from, you know, 500 plus members to, when we reopened the other day, we dipped below 300, and it was just devastating to me, because we worked so hard to get those,
Yeah.
you know, get those and members, meaning that they're on a monthly reoccurring membership, not just package holders. So we have two, you know, we have package holders that have more flexibility, then we have members that, you know, it's more of a passive income for us, and anything we get is a cherry on top. So you know, if I can build that membership base back up, and figure out how we can do this with the weather, you know, it's possible that we'll be able to bounce back in 4 to 6 months. And then by July, if everything is, you know, under control, then we're back and running, and, you know, where we were, and hopefully stronger than before. Because for me, I mean, I'm kind of looking ahead in the next 2 to 3 months, and really am looking to call on my our member base to really help us rebuild our community, just from all the people that we lost. You know, referrals are such a big thing for us. So for every person we lose, we always want, you know, 3 referrals from that. So, you know, I'm hoping that what I've done to sustain our community and foster it and love it and be there and show up for them. And I have such a great community. I know that they'll do this, but I'm just hoping that it'll be successful, that they'll be able to show up for me and bring some referrals into us and help us rebuild faster, because my team is working around the clock, and I would not have been able to get through this without them. I was very fortunate to be able to get the PPP loan at Culver City, and I was able to keep on my key staff members, and they've just been working so hard to get everything up and running with me. And and that's another reason why I don't want to close. I mean, I don't have the money anymore. The PPP has run out. And so, I just don't have that to keep them going. And I just feel like I have to stay open for them as well. So, I'm not sure if I answered the question well, but where do I see myself in July?
You definitely
Back on
answered
track.
it. Yeah, you definitely answered it. In fact, it's funny, a lot of your answer I was kind of nodding my head because I'm thinking this is right along the lines that I'm looking at with the chamber of, there's unfortunately there are businesses that have closed. They've told us they weren't able to make the initial wave or the second wave. And so with them not having a business, that also means they're not going to be a member. But
Yeah.
we've also looked at the paradigm that you kind of mentioned of the amount that you've done in the community and the engagement and the connection, that at some point you'll want to turn and say, look, let's, everyone, each one reach one, each one reach two. There's people that you probably know that should be here that are not. And so I definitely applaud you on that. I think that'll be a nice windfall when it happens, because you've always had that impression in the community. And I'll be honest, particularly whether it's, small businesses, local, even franchises, people tend to associate the collective brand with the operator. So I had heard of CycleBar before. I couldn't tell you, the great details, but my thought is on CycleBar as like an overall corporation is like every location has like a Steph rock star there, which is probably not true, but it's still pretty awesome because there's that thought and sentiment. And the people that I've spoken to that are avid writers there have that same mentality. So I don't want to keep you too long, but I have two final questions if you're up for them.
Sure.
So the first one is for other business owners that are in Culver City that are, as you said, over the last couple of months, kind of going up and down with this wave, and it seems like there's more down than up. What would be, suggestion, advice, your thoughts on? I mean, it's hard. You as anybody knows, predictability in business is you want to have as much predictability as possible. There's certain variables you can't control. You don't expect to be more variables than predictable, which is kind of where we're at right now. We can't control the pandemic. We can't control whether people want to, follow, suggestions and orders. But what would be your tip to other business owners?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think my success, or just, able to keep on going, is, having a positive attitude, being able to wake up every day and just focus and work, even if you don't want to. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to adapt to what's happening. Like I said, I was a little not frustrated, but it was hard for me to be able to create an online platform for virtual rides to the masses. But it worked, like, for what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of times people get scared of change, and you just have to be able to, be creative, talk to other people, other business owners, and see what they're doing. And you just got to try things out. You can't I think a lot of times, especially people that are higher up in the business chain, they tend to be their own roadblock, and I think it's really important that you don't, I don't know, you get out of your head, and you just, you don't let yourself talk yourself out of something without trying it. I think for me, I'm not afraid to try different things, and I'm not afraid to call on people when I need them, and to just do what I can to survive. I mean, right now we're kind of in that sink or swim,
Yep.
fight or flight mode, and you just got to be ready to do it. You cannot, if you want to come out on top, you can't hide in the corner. You got to protect your business, and you have
Yep.
to stand up for what you believe in. And it may not always, like I said, it's not really benefiting my wallet right now, but I don't care. I mean, it's like, I just have to find a way. I mean, I've also been just applying left and right whenever I hear there's a grant or some
Hmm.
kind of money that can come towards my way. I apply for it, and I apply for it as fast as I can. So having all your books in order and know your numbers and
Yep.
be able to pull on things really quickly and just being organized, that's something that's really been helpful to me, that I can grab things from my phone if I need a business license or I need this or that. It's all accessible. So it's worked for me. I mean, fortunately, I've been able to be the beneficiary of a couple of different loans and grants and whatnot, and so it's worked. And you just got to act fast and don't
That's
go on vacation in your head, because this is not a vacation at all.
no, you're very, very right about that. In fact, I switched my background because for the last 30 plus years, focus on win. If you look at like even my personal email has always been um, my email, and the win is what's important now. And it's easy in this pandemic, I think, to get kind of lost in the weeds of looking. I know I asked you about a year ahead, but looking a year ahead is pretty daunting right now when you don't know what's going to happen a week or two. I mean, you can
Mhm.
plan, but I mean, I spoke to someone the other day that said they felt like the rug has been pulled out from under them multiple times. And, but I do think knowing your numbers, having the items that you may need in front of you, because it's true. I mean, the county had a grant that went on the other day. They sent out something Sunday about it. It opened at noon on Monday. It was supposed to run the entire week. It closed by 5 o'clock on Monday because as the governor made his order, more people were like, oh, I need to make sure and it's true. If you didn't have that
Yeah,
information or you needed to find it, it's too late. So we'll continue on our end to share that with people. Final
I did
question.
apply for that, by the way.
I'm glad you did. I hope that it goes through. Although I did hear that they're going to have additional rounds of it,
Cool.
and there's rumors that the state and county are supposed to be looking at additional funding too, since they need to address, what happens to the businesses that have already spent, thousands of dollars, like you mentioned, and have gotten people employed again, because there were a lot of people that came off of unemployment to come back to work that are now
Mhm.
essentially going to be, hopefully it's temporary, but that's not easy to plan out either. So final question. So we talked about businesses for your CycleBar family that maybe has not been able to come back in to ride outside, or is, dealing as we all are with the pandemic. What message would you have for them?
Oh gosh. I mean, I completely understand everybody has a different situation. So, I just hope that they keep on moving and stay positive and, exactly what you said, focus on what's important now and take care of themselves and make sure that they're part of the solution and, not
Right.
part of the problem.
Well, I thank you again. Thank you for listening in, and thank you, Steph, for joining today. Um, if somebody wanted to find out more about CycleBar in Culver City, how would they go about doing that?
Just culvercity.cyclebar.com, or you can email me at culvercity@cyclebar.com.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure to have that information available as well. Again, Steph, thank you for joining today. And we look forward to you being able to have people back in the studio sooner rather than later.
Thank you.